When Ryan's when it's time to begin, it's on the Review of Raw with John Pollock and Wai Ting, the A-Team that makes sense of these things we see in the ring every week on TV. It's Review of Raw for Monday night, download it Tuesday morning from the Fight Network site. It's Review of Raw for Monday night on USA Now on the John and Wai Take the Mic.
Hey everybody, it's John Pollock and Wai Ting, and this is Review Raw. That's the show I watched tonight.
Yes.
From Memphis.
From Memphis.
In the FedEx Forum.
That's what it's called?
Forum. I kind of said forearm.
Forearm. The FedEx Forearm.
Kurt Angle over here.
Damn.
How are you?
I'm good.
You ready to chat about Raw?
I am, but before we chat about Raw, maybe we should tell people how they could win a free t-shirt courtesy of Pro Wrestling Tees.
Well, tell us, and maybe if you win, we will FedEx it to you.
Yes, tell us your best and worst moments from this edition of Raw that you maybe watched, or maybe you're listening to this review, and from that you can figure out what your favorite parts and least favorite parts of the show were. Subscribe and comment on the YouTube video that you're watching right now. Comment in the comments below.
Can we put a cap on Pelvis Wesley? For worst?
No, I think
or maybe the best?
You could say whatever you want. I mean, if truly that was somebody's favorite or least favorite thing, you can very well say it. But we ask that you actually subscribe, because I know Sam goes through all of you guys who he ends up picking, he stalks your YouTube accounts to make sure you subscribe to the Law Live Audio Wrestling.
And if he finds out you're not subscribing, you're also banned for the next 6 months of winning, even if you do subscribe.
He's meticulous.
He'll go on a big list.
He'll write down all these names.
Don't chance it.
He'll find you at your house. This is how serious he takes this thing.
All right, so there you go. Your best and worst of Raw. How simple is that? And you could have a beautiful T-shirt, such as none of those. Some of those.
These ones. Some, yeah. You know what? These are all exclusive to the Pro Wrestling Crate.
I know, that's what I...
Which we have another video coming out this week. But anyway.
Oh, boy.
Plenty of others.
Lots of stuff. Raw went down Monday night from beautiful Memphis, Tennessee. Somewhere I've never been. But I would love to go to Memphis.
I would love to go.
That'd be a lot of fun.
Just for the food.
The Miz Taraj is in the ring to start things out. And Michael Cole notes that Booker T is with his family back home because of Hurricane Harvey, which they mentioned that they had a few PSAs throughout the show, and obviously we are sending our best. Have you seen the videos and the images? I think they've gotten over 40 inches of rain, and by the end, they could still get over 50. I mean, it's an extraordinary, obviously, amount of rain that has hit that part of Texas. And so in his place is Jerry Lawler, who I guess would have been at the show regardless, but we had our three-man booth. I was kind of hoping they'd at least have Jerry Lawler. I wanted to see his entrance in front of Memphis.
Yeah, that would have been actually pretty nice. I'm assuming they just didn't have time for it on TV.
Well, very, very tight show.
Oh, we had a lot to get through.
Oh, it's like Jerry Lawler entrance in Memphis or pelvis. So, this is when Cole and Graves, they note the people in Texas, wishing them their best. And then, now, I said the Miz Taraj was in the ring when the show started. They were all in the ring with their music playing as we then went to the announcers and then introduced Jerry Lawler and then went to preview the whole show with multiple boards and matchups coming up later, while the Miz and the Miz Taraj just stood there forever.
Again, they're low on TV time. You got to cut some of these entrances.
If ever there was a champion that is doing an angle about not being respected, this was the way to set this angle up.
Yeah, you don't think John Cena would have been standing out there for 5 minutes?
I don't. I do not. After all of that waiting, the Miz goes to speak into the microphone and is instantly cut off by Kurt Angle. And Kurt comes out. Miz, I think I know what you were gone to say. And then he elaborates, feeling that Miz feels his status as champion has been diminished. There was no title defense of his at SummerSlam. But Kurt says there will be one at No Mercy. Miz, before we can understand what the title defense is going to be at No Mercy, which we never found out, No Mercy is just, it is reserved for an Intercontinental title match, but we don't know who's going to be in it.
We don't know if he'll be the champion.
Well, I assume Kurt had a challenger in mind. I mean, what if Miz hadn't have cut him off here? How was he going to finish that sentence? He was putting all these challenges into a battle royal. Do you have someone set aside? Anyway, Miz really screwed himself because he cut him off and did the old, I'm going to take a word and give you Webster's definition of it, as he did for respect. Angle doesn't understand what it means, Miz says. So Angle says Miz is going to defend his title against the winner of this battle royal. That's going to happen next, and then the title match will take place on Raw next week. So the first entrant is a clean-shaven, bones-healed Big Show, who came out and a remarkable 2-week recovery of that broken hand.
Right.
So perhaps after that feud, some of that recuperative abilities will help Cass come back quicker.
Maybe shaving somehow helps you heal faster.
It could.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
There's less.
would he have to have shaven with the good hand though, while the other one heals, and then
For sure. Maybe because your body's energy, instead of being focused into your hair follicles on your chin, it all goes to your bones in your hand, and that's the explanation.
Dr. Ting.
Yeah.
He was followed by the Hardys, Finn Balor. They were stunned Finn Balor was in this battle royal. Jason Jordan, Kalisto, Apollo Crews, R-Truth, Kurt Hawkins, Goldust, Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows, and Elias. That was our lineup for this battle royal. And we had Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel double teaming all these guys. First of all, everyone lifted up Hawkins and just dumped him. Then they turned their attention to the Big Show, but the baby faces would not gang up on him. So Axel and Dallas lifted and tossed out Kalisto like he was garbage. Michael Cole referred to Elias Sampson a few times in this match.
Maybe he just didn't get the memo.
Well, later in the night, he was just Elias.
Yeah, so maybe they corrected him.
Could have been. It's very hard to keep up on what this guy's name is week in and week out. You know what also I was curious about during this match? What happened to Goldust recruiting his next, I guess, pupil?
Valet or something like that. He was.
Said, starting at SummerSlam, I'm going to be searching.
No, they seem to have delayed or dropped it for now.
Anderson and Gallows worked on Big Show, and then Finn Balor helped them eliminate the Big Show, which led to a moment involving these three. Anderson went to two-sweet him, but Elias nailed Balor, so a tease.
A tease that I don't see really ending anywhere. I mean, they even tried to make it a big deal here, but I get the sense
Was
that
this an AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura moment from Money in the Bank?
that works in front of a certain crowd. Like, this would have worked
I think
great.
this was very intentional.
This would have worked great in Brooklyn, I thought. But I don't really feel like they've established much between Gallows and Anderson and Finn Balor in his time on the main roster to an audience, at least in Memphis, that I don't think necessarily got it too much.
The thing I was dreading watching this was Finn and Bray continue their feud, and Harper and Rowan return to Bray Wyatt once again.
Let's hope not.
Dallas and Axel then eliminated Truth. Gallows superkicked Goldust as Anderson pulled down the rope for another elimination, went through a commercial break, which is where poor Apollo got eliminated during the commercial break. Matt Hardy then eliminated Gallows. He was fighting with Anderson on the edge of the apron. Anderson ran at Matt, who knocked him into the post, and he was out. And then Gallows yanked Matt off the floor, so he's out. Miz sucker punched Balor and Jeff Hardy in order to save Bo Dallas, and then Balor fired up. It led to this showdown with Jeff, who blocked a twist of fate, hit the sling blade, running drop kick to Jeff, but then the lights go out. Bray appears, and he throws out Finn Balor. And then the lights go out, and Bray disappears. So after that, Jordan does this backflip off of Dallas and Axel, eliminates both of them together. Elias then gets thrown out by Jordan, and then Jeff comes from behind. He plays the Sid role, tossing out Flair at the... Flair played the role, knocking out Sid, and Jeff Hardy wins. Jeff Hardy gets the title shot next week against The Miz.
Yeah. Were you surprised by the result?
By the time I figured it was going to be Finn or Jeff by the latter half there. But the fact that they're putting Jeff into a singles match, this is maybe they'll have the tag team, but also having them kind of separate as well.
Maybe it's the end of the tag team for now. I mean, we haven't
They don't have much going. There was no follow-up tonight to Ambrose and Rollins, and that felt like a one-off match last week.
Also, no follow-up to any of this Woken business that really only Michael Cole and the Hardys themselves have been hinting at. So maybe this is it. Maybe this is a singles run for both men coming out of this.
I'm curious to see them have, because Jeff can have a very good match with The Miz next week.
Oh,
I mean,
no doubt.
if they get like 15 minutes on TV, it's a chance for Jeff to have a big standout performance. I mean,
I think Jeff versus a number of people on this roster are dream matches that they can headline with potentially on a number of shows. So why just have the guy,
and it's going to be a test for Jeff to see him having, a big singles match. There'll be a lot of focus on that next week.
If you're the WWE, why just have this guy sit in this tag team that, maybe has already reached their ceiling if they're not going to take over these whatever characters that they've been trying to get for such a long time. And meanwhile, maybe, Matt can still do the broken thing whenever that happens. They also here reestablished the Bray versus Finn Balor feud. And
I was worried that was over.
Oh, well, you'll get another month of it at least. They also seem to tease something here between Gallows and Anderson and Matt Hardy. Perhaps, doing a Matt Hardy versus
Gallows and Anderson had a busy night on Monday.
They did.
We got to see several guys who had to do double duty with this battle royal and then come back later for matches.
But maybe they'll do Hardy versus Gallows or Anderson. We'll see. No, not interested.
Yeah, no,
I did also get a sense of like a nice Jeff Hardy versus Finn Balor tease here in the middle.
Yes,
and I certainly think that's a great high marquee matchup they can build to.
They did. There was some Q&A over the weekend where Jeff was asked about coming out in his paint, and he made a joke that not as long as Finn Balor's around. I guess there's only
so much paint to go around. I guess.
Yes, apparently we can have guys doing sling blades on the same show, but God forbid we have paint.
No, I don't think it's that.
That's silly. Like Goldust has paint.
Oh yeah, I think Jeff will bring out the paint eventually. Maybe it was
the Demon Jeff.
But maybe like the paint thing was never a part of the original Hardy Boys. Not a part of the Team Extreme Hardy Boys. It was more so later incarnations of Jeff Hardy in his imagination.
There was that time he was breaking off as the singles where he was putting that glow in the dark crap, and he just looked.
But
he was a mess.
He didn't have the eyeballs on the island.
No, he didn't have that. He got much more refined in TNA with the paint
and the voice.
Yes. Yeah. The monologues.
The monologues.
We need that at some point. There was a video on the whole setup of Lesnar and Strowman from last week, and then Charlie is backstage with Alexa Bliss. Her strategy tonight is to win. Says she isn't a great, Sasha is not a great champion because she has never defended the Raw Women's title. She's going to humiliate her tonight and expose Sasha as a legit loser, which this promo reads way better now than before the match.
Yeah, I guess so.
She did everything she promised.
Sometimes when the villain wins, that's what happens.
We'll get into that later. Tonight, the goddess regains her throne. Mm-hmm. And then they were promoting this as a big deal, going to break. Enzo's first 205 match without an opponent listed. Just Enzo's first Cruiserweight match.
Yeah. That is the draw.
He's lost a pound because prior he had said he was 206 pounds. So now he is wrestling at totally different aerodynamics, completely different weight class for him. What a hook.
They actually released something on .com.
Of him losing weight?
Cutting weight. That's what they said here, at least. I didn't catch it myself. But
did you hear what he lost $10,000 over the weekend?
I don't know if he lost it. He spent it.
Well, he didn't find $10,000.
I wonder how much he made, though. I'm sure he put
You would think that like a certain announcer could like help him. It was hardly sold out.
I don't even know about that. Like, I wonder how many tickets they would have given Morrow, and I'm sure he would have exhausted all his connections.
I mean, Al Bernstein. I figured out.
Oh, is that right?
Enzo has.
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you a story when I was in New York in 2012 with my wife, and there was a Miguel Cotto fight happening at Madison Square Garden, and I really wanted to go to this fight. I was like, do you want to go to this boxing match? And my wife was like, yeah, we could go to the boxing match. And I didn't want to bother Morrow for tickets because he was calling the show. And then afterwards, I was kicking myself. He's like, buddy, I had all these extras. You could have sat in the front row behind the camera.
Well, I wonder if that would have applied for this last fight.
I didn't drop $10,000 on tickets, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
For Austin Trout and Miguel Cotto. Enzo and Noam Dar. Corey says, as Enzo comes out, that no one has ever loved this guy, referring to Enzo. Not even his parents. Lawler really is into Enzo. It was obvious. And Corey says, Well, you're not around here much. Enzo comes out and reminds people of a 7-foot giant that got what he deserved for picking a fight with him. I understand Cass was the heel, but this came across, especially playing the replay of how he was hurt, as such a dick line from Enzo.
Well, Enzo is kind of playing a bit of a dick. Like, he's playing somebody who's actually... I thought he was almost being extra annoying here. You know, doing things like bragging about, spending 10 G's on a ticket, and just not even saying things that, I don't know, that I thought were all that witty or funny. I kind of just felt like he was just a bit of a jerk here.
Well, it's crazy to watch a guy that comes out and he gets such a naturally big reaction. Mm-hmm. Like, he comes out, these kids are all chanting for him.
Yeah.
You can see the merchandise. Like, it just seems that they're trying they're trying to change this guy.
Are they actually trying, though? Because I feel like a part of it is Enzo not really hitting the mark when he's being told to go out there and cut these promos either. You know, he something changed when, like, he was separated from Cass, and he's not really cutting these amazing
it's also
promos.
the situations he's put in to look like an idiot.
The booking certainly doesn't help.
Those are designed to make him look
But the promos have been
foolish.
disappointing. Do you not agree?
Yeah, this one was.
Yeah.
Like, this one, to me, felt pretty flat, where after showing the injury to Cass, he mentions how he can do two things at once, such as watching Mayweather knock out McGregor and make money, introducing his opponent, which he does as he dances. So Dar comes out, and he calls Noam Dar a guy with two last names, and then spells out soft. Yeah, this was not a gem.
Is Noam two last names or two first names?
He said two last names.
Two last names? I've never met anybody with either last name.
Any guy with a last name, Dar or Noam.
It's got to be a Scottish thing.
Maybe Enzo should have been watching some of the McGregor promos going into the fight on Saturday. Neville is watching this backstage. I don't know why. Dar mocked him with his dance and then dropped him with a right hand. Dar landed a knee. The referee stops Enzo in the corner and then gets driven into the turnbuckle. Dar attacks the left arm. Enzo holds on, and he goes for the eat defeat, which was left starving because he did not connect with the face and pinned him in 256. So here is our showcase for our Cruiserweight title program coming out of this.
Wow.
Enzo was pretty bad here.
The finish looked like shit. But, like, I mean, like, Enzo can do okay in these matches because all he does is, you know, he just plays a rag doll and he just sells for most of it. It would be awful to have Enzo Amore in something like the Cruiserweight Classic. But for a more character and driven show like a Raw or 205 Live, I think he's fine. In fact, I think he's a great addition.
I think he should be wrestling less. I think it should be sparingly that he wrestle.
This is a show that I think has less emphasis, should have less emphasis on the wrestling than it should characters. It should have more emphasis on characters is what I'm trying to say. And here, you know, look at it overall. This was an improvement over typical Cruiserweight matches. It held your attention a bit more, I would
Well, it was
like
3
to think.
minutes.
But still, like, it's let's say this was Noam Dar versus Lince Dorado. Like, would anyone give a shit? At least, you know, people probably
bar
weren't
is
going,
low
weren't
on
going.
Raw.
Well, at least people weren't going to the bathroom here.
So he danced on stage, and then he dabbed as well.
Oh, man, TJP can't be happy about
Added
that.
to his list.
Man.
Charlie is with Neville and asks for his reaction to Enzo. Calls him a weasel and says if he's supposed to be competition, then I will be Cruiserweight champion forever and ever. Brock comes out with Paul Heyman. They are not here to sing the blues about Braun Strowman, but instead sing his praises. He is the most worthy contender for Lesnar's title in all of the WWE, says Heyman. SummerSlam was a historic night for both of them. Goes over the table spot and temporarily taking Lesnar out of the match, and quoted Corey Graves that Lesnar was monster handled. Heyman doesn't believe in monsters, but he believes Braun is one. And Heyman did the hard sell for no mercy. Lesnar doesn't duck anyone or any monster. And then Lesnar stops Heyman, takes the microphone, and says what he's trying to say, Suplex City, bitch.
Mm-hmm. They can only pull out that Brock speaking card once in a while.
Yeah, twice a year.
Yeah. It's like the jester's cap of promos.
You got it, yeah.
And it was used effectively here.
He removed Braun's most 3 valuable cards from his library.
Yeah.
Put him in the graveyard. No Braun on this show. Nor did it need him.
No, I think in the same way that, Brock's absence kind of makes him a bigger deal, maybe it'll do the same for Braun.
No Brock next week, and then he's back the following week. He's got one more appearance before No Mercy. I don't want to see Braun Strowman sign his name on a piece of paper with a pen. I don't want to see that man.
Well, what are they going to do then? How would they make it official?
Come up with something more clever than the damn contract.
Thumbprint.
Yeah, maybe we'll get a repeat of the Reigns Cena.
Yeah. They had Cole here established, and I guess Heyman did this, but Cole, summed it up nicely, saying Braun Strowman is Brock Lesnar's biggest threat, and
they did a very good job.
I think that's great one sentence. Here's why you should watch the match, because Brock Lesnar could lose.
Total Bellas returns Wednesday, September the 6th.
I'll be watching.
Will you?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Maybe yeah, I will for sure.
Seth Rollins versus Cesaro. Ambrose made an L sign with his hand towards Cesaro at the beginning, which, when you do one of those, it's coming right back at you twice as hard.
Oh, is it?
He looked like such an idiot. Rollins landed a standing moonsault. Cesaro then sent him to the floor. Sheamus and Ambrose had a standoff. They were in the respective corners. Cesaro hit this big leg drop and then a pair of gut-wrench suplexes. Rollins ran at him, got seated on the top, almost fell off like he was evil, and then jumps, hits a blockbuster. Cesaro hit a running uppercut onto the opposite turnbuckle. Rollins slid under and hit a running buckle bomb to the opposite corner, which Seth Rollins can do this till the end of time. I will not. And a week after a guy tore his ACL, I was just cringing watching this as this guy just tempts fate.
I totally shudder when
he didn't do the full, he didn't go over top the shoulders like he did to Kane that one time. But putting all that weight and going across the ring, this guy has no fear.
Oh, well, no doubt he probably is able to lift plenty of weight in his CrossFit training, but it is kind of tough to see.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm sure if you ask him, it's perfectly fine.
So Sheamus then tries to trip Rollins. Ambrose attacks him, and then Cesaro capitalizes, landing an uppercut and stacks him for the pin. Mm-hmm. Sheamus laughed on the microphone, saying the night isn't over yet. It's him and Ambrose next. And the bell just rings, and it happens. And the announcers tried to state that in these 6 seconds, Kurt Angle approved this match. So I guess they were able to just block out an extra 10 minutes from the show. It's amazing how live TV works.
They cut out all these entrances.
I think one of the gimmicks I hate the most is the tag partners doing back-to-back singles matches.
Right. A little exhausting.
A little.
Well, this whole thing, between the two matches, took up a good 40 minutes.
They were each almost identical length as well. They were 10 minutes and change each.
Sure.
And then all the other stuff. They fought on the floor right away. Ambrose jumped off the top, got caught with an Irish curse backbreaker, and then Sheamus lifted him off the mat by the leg into a stretch muffler. So Ambrose lifted himself up to take a power bomb. Sheamus used a cloverleaf. And then, this was my highlight of either match. Michael Cole says, the tag champions, Ambrose and Rollins, can ill afford to lose 2 singles matches tonight. So, this is why I love Corey Graves, because I'm thinking to myself, what do you mean they can't afford this? And Graves then comes out and he says the exact same thing. He says, of course they could afford to. They'd still be champions even if they lost both these matches. So Cole's response, yeah, but momentum. And they have a rematch for the titles. I love this interplay. Ambrose finally snapped Sheamus' neck on the top rope, hit a rolling fireman's carry off the second turnbuckle. Ambrose is selling his back. Rollins then pulls Cesaro off the apron. The referee gets distracted with Cesaro. So Rollins did a springboard knee to stop the white noise, hit a suicide dive to Cesaro. Ambrose hit the dirty deeds and pinned Sheamus. And Graves acknowledges the latitude that the referee provided these guys in their match. Yeah. So we split wins. Oh,
split wins. Now
have a Hell in a Cell or something. I guess they don't have the Hell in a Cell on their pay-per-view.
No.
Something big to follow up.
Yeah, I don't know what that would be, but this between the two matches, it certainly felt like it took up a big chunk of time, and they were good matches, but I didn't necessarily feel the heat between both matches to be all that strong. Definitely stronger for the Ambrose match, but for whatever reason, I really enjoyed both matches. But for Rollins and Cesaro, the crowd was oddly quiet.
It was a come down from the last few weeks where you were building to something.
Yeah.
Now they've won the titles, and this just felt like a transitional week where we see, okay, this feud is continuing, and it lacked the spark Rollins and Ambrose have had for the past 6 weeks.
It really does show, too, though, how much more special the two of them are together when they're in a team and when they work that great tag team style. When they're each on their own, it kind of misses something.
This next segment missed a lot. Emma was on her phone and was telling Mickey about Twitter blowing up over the VMAs. And all she cares about is what is trending on Twitter.
That's the character now. She's like,
Yes.
She's the tweeter.
Yes. I like that the idea is she's a heel because she's so self-absorbed by Twitter on this company's show. I mean, not as bad as they were at a time, but there was a point where it was nauseating.
Yeah.
Mickey does not follow her on Twitter, Way. Mickey tells Emma she got destroyed by Nia Jax last week. Emma comes up with a new hashtag. Thank Emma for the revolution. Mickey proposes an idea. How about we have a match tonight? Don't worry, Kurt will book it. Where if I lose, I will tweet any hashtag you want. But if I win, you can never claim credit for the women's revolution again. You follow me?
Clever.
Oh, my God. The anger that was forming in me from this.
This is the first.
The same company that came up with the segment we're going to talk to involving Cena and Reigns also produced this.
Yeah, this was a first.
This was everything that made that other segment so great.
A hashtag match.
A hashtag match. There was we just went right to the match afterwards. There was a reverse neck breaker by Mickey with this awkward landing by Emma. Mickey kicked her in the arm, went for a rolling sunset flip, and Emma blocked it, hooking both legs, and won in 1:41. Yeah. And at last check, Mickey had not tweeted out any hashtag. I'm hoping this is a segment where Mickey has to be brought out to the ring and forced to tweet out a hashtag that is so against her morals. Something awful.
Something about Trump, probably.
Something like she, I loved the James Storm angle. Something that she would just cringe at the idea of having to say.
Oh, man. Poor Emma, she really has had miss after miss after miss since she's been on the main roster. What is the best thing she's done since she's been brought up?
Going back down to the first takeover to face Paige.
That was the best thing?
In 2014.
No, seriously. You think about it. It went from this that had no build whatsoever into minor disappearances. She came back with a cool look, but that resulted in nothing. She went away again. She was supposed to debut, then went away again, and then came back. And now all for what? For this Twitter character?
Yeah. I
Okay.
don't know. There's not a whole lot going on for Emma. Can't say much about it. I was disappointed here. They announced that the song for No Mercy is No Mercy by Kit, because on the Wikipedia page for No Mercy on Friday, they had listed the new Taylor Swift song as the official theme for No Mercy.
So who's they?
They?
Yeah, who's they?
Someone, I was just on the No Mercy Wikipedia page.
So someone
had obviously
Wikipedia.
altered this.
Yes.
And I was hoping it would be true. It's not true. Can you imagine a Brock Lesnar, Braun Strowman video package?
I don't know if
that new Taylor Swift song.
I don't know if they could afford Taylor Swift.
Ends with Brock saying that the old Brock Lesnar is dead.
I don't know my Taylor Swift nearly as well as you probably hope that I do.
Kurt Angle's in the ring. What a segment this was. He announces it will be Roman Reigns versus John Cena at No Mercy. This show is better than SummerSlam already from these two matches. It could just be these two matches on the show.
Yeah.
I would go out of my way.
Well,
to
this
watch
is certainly
No
the
Mercy.
main event.
I don't even want any more matches on this show.
Do you just want to
Give me 30 of each of these, and I'm happy. Give me a 90-minute show. No mercy. I'd be so happy. I'll listen to Kit throughout the whole night.
So just Kit, concert, ending with Cena versus Reigns.
Why don't we try that? Why don't we try some shorter pay-per-views? 2 matches. Would you buy a ticket to the Staples Center to see these 2 matches? Because I would.
How long are takeovers?
2.5 hours, tops.
And people leave completely satisfied.
I 100% would buy a ticket to go see these 2 matches, as opposed to a 6-hour SummerSlam, where that time would be a deterrent to me going
but you know,
live.
John, you could always just show up later. No one's stopping you from doing that.
It's the point that the length of these shows, is just.
Well, who's just telling you?
What more does this show need?
Why do you have to watch? Well, they just have all this talent, you know. They just
space them out a bit. Keep them fresh.
Yeah.
Is Rollins and Rollins and Ambrose against Cesaro and Sheamus? Is that not a good tag match?
It's good. Yeah.
How about the 5th time?
Well, it depends what they do.
Anyway, Cena comes out. He hugged Jerry Lawler, and then Cena brings out Reigns, and Cena starts. He says that Reigns is the blue chip prospect that has been protected by everyone that has stepped foot in his path. Cena, on the other hand, has had no protection, and that's why he wants to fight Roman Reigns, because he knows Reigns doesn't want to fight him. And John signs the contract. This is actually when Reigns comes out, so he hadn't been in the ring yet. He says Cena isn't as big of a deal as he thinks he is. He's done something Cena will never do, and that's retire The Undertaker at WrestleMania, which is a line this guy can just use forever.
Oh, yeah.
And it's always great.
I think, them continuing to let him say that should really put to rest the rumors of him ever returning.
Or amplify it to some.
Yeah, but if he's coming back, they have to believe that the guy is actually retired in order for this to mean anything.
I think they do believe he's retired, but I don't throw out the notion he would come back again.
I hope not.
Reigns is holding that title and the lights go out.
I hope
it's almost tailor-made for an Undertaker return.
I think I'd be okay with it if you let that retirement stick for a little bit. So maybe in 5 years, when Taker's however old he is, I think I would accept it a bit more.
As John Cena said, he's not some broken-down veteran with a bad hip, which is probably the biggest insult someone has ever thrown the Undertaker on a show here.
True though.
All in the name of a promo here. So Cena says everyone in the back knows that he's the big dog, but the fans are still trying to figure it out. And he brings up that he brought up a line here about how the fans want to see him turn heel.
Yeah, he did the heel turn thing, and that
lame joke he came up with years ago.
They stayed on the close-up. I wonder if he actually did the motion.
I think he did. I'm sure his hips aren't perfect, but you could see them rotating. Like the corniest joke, that he came up with one night, and he used this.
Yeah, it was great.
It was funny
great
that one time 4 years ago, and he brings it out every time now. Anyway, this was the early part of this, I am not going to say was tremendous. It was veering off into territory where it's amusing to people that follow all this stuff, but very counterproductive to the bigger picture. But we saw a massive turnaround here. Cena says the fans see Roman as a cheap-ass, corporately produced John Cena bootleg. And says, you're not the guy, you're just a guy. And this is where Cena mentioned he's not a battered veteran at the end of his career with a bad hip. He's the hungriest he's ever been and knows Reigns won't sign the contract. Reigns comes back saying Cena can spin anything. And the fans start booing Cena and stating he sucks, which Cena points out, well, they think Kurt sucks too. Reigns tells him, shut up, John. And then Roman pauses, and Cena tells him to learn how to cut a promo. So Reigns...
He pauses because he forgot his line.
Yeah. So Cena just...
Made fun of him.
Yes.
Yeah, called him out on it, yes.
Reigns calls him a phony, fake bitch and a part-timing fake-ass bitch. Only the second part was censored here. So fake bitch, okay. Fake-ass bitch, part-timing. No way. Roman busts his ass all weekend at the house shows so Cena can go on the Today Show and then jump on his bus and come back if they pay him enough. And then you use your shovel. And I was like, oh, God, I don't want to hear any shovel analogies. You use your shovel to bury young talent, to stay on top of the mountain. You're a backstabbing shark. You can't bury me, John. I'm the one guy you can't see. This was way better than I'm recapping it as. But this is what he said. He says he can be the one and only Roman Reigns, and that's what he's striving for. So then Cena says Reigns uses the same old excuses everyone else does, and he has the gall to blame him. It took Reigns 5.5 years to cut a half-decent promo, but now he's going to shrink him down to size. This was ethering Cena mode coming on. This was, it was like you had hit the bar and it had hit special. Mm-hmm. He says the fans hold the keys to everyone, not just him. Cena has been called worse by many people that are more tougher than Reigns, and he hasn't main evented WrestleMania in 5 years. He was in the opening match at SummerSlam. He was honored and privileged to have the U.S. title to introduce new talent like Kevin Owens and AJ Styles, while Reigns took the U.S. title as a demotion. Cena blames Reigns, stating, I'm still here because you can't do your job. No one comes along to keep up and says, I can do this part-time better than you can ever do it full-time. And then Reigns signs the contract and knocks over the table. Mm-hmm. The ups and downs of this was a tremendous segment. This made you so interested in their match because you felt like it's not about real versus fake. All it is giving people the perception that these two dislike one another. Completely. Rock and Cena did it all in the name of business. These two did it all in the name of business. Yeah. And by the end of it, you had a super hot match that was exceptionally hotter than when the segment started. Mission accomplished.
Totally. It seemed clear that the direction was for these two to go out there and to, quote-unquote, shoot and try to capture some of that magic that I think Cena and The Miz had heading into WrestleMania this year.
And push each other to keep up with one another, which made this so much. Like, this is a tone the WWE has lost with so many of their performers. This just element of realism to promos.
John, it's because a lot of these guys can't really do it at this level. And you look at a guy like Roman Reigns, who I felt was out of his element in a segment like this. Like, Reigns is a guy who's used to reading scripts and memorizing lines, and it became very apparent here at one point because he forgot his lines in the middle of this promo. And Cena, on the other hand, feels like somebody who is able to speak from the heart, whether obviously very much exaggerated, but
there's no one quicker on their feet than Cena in this company.
Sounds so quick, sounded so natural, and here, just embarrassed Roman Reigns. I felt bad for Roman here, man. It elevated this feud up a major notch, but I think it made Cena the clear babyface in this, at least to people watching this segment.
I think this was good because we're going to have a month building this up that I think Reigns is going to have plenty of promo opportunities over the next month.
Well, hopefully
and a segment like this,
hopefully it'll take him to
will be great.
Hopefully it'll improve him and take him up a notch because he got destroyed here.
Well, I just think it was great for the feud. I think this worked.
Yes.
And that was the goal of this. And to me, it was just it's an element of pro wrestling that is so lacking that...
Dude, it's battle raps. This is, battle raps are pro wrestling. That's why I think the two work so well together.
This is what feuds have been built on. It's what big prize fights today are built on. It's promos. Guys that you believe have an issue with one another. Exaggerated.
I have my time to speak, and then you have your retort, and then I have my retort, and you have your retort, and at the end of it, we see who wins. But in this case, you're building up towards a match. Ultimately, it's for the benefit of everybody, and I would love to see more people in the WWE be able to exercise, this skill the way these two got to.
But did either one come up with a hashtag for this segment? The table is knocked over by Roman, and then Anderson and Gallows came out, And I swear every single person watching knew exactly where this was going. And I was like, no.
Yeah.
No. How can you possibly have this be your end beat to this great segment? This would have been like CM Punk and Cena after that pipe bomb, then doing an impromptu tag match. Like, what an awful read. Like, you know the segment you're setting up. Maybe you didn't believe it would have the amount of heat it would garner, but it was the goal of the segment. And then we're going to do a tag match with these two. I hated this idea.
Tonally, it just felt so off.
You had left on such a high.
Yeah.
That should have been the end of these two on this show.
Yeah, I mean, even if they were to team eventually, I wouldn't have as much of an issue with it. But I certainly think the segment really could have benefited with some room to let the severity of those promos sink in a little before going straight into this match. Roman just like, they get into the match, and man, Roman would have definitely been better off like going to the back and like.
I was hoping that would be okay. I was saying like this is an awful idea. Walk out on your partner. Even that, it was like you had this natural, organic promo that I don't want any pro wrestling bullshit now. The walk out on your partner, turn on your partner. Like you had just hit a home run.
No, but
there was no more to do.
Honestly, what it should have been is Roman should have decked him, or should have done something actually heelish, you know, to help to continue to build the heat in the feud. Here, going into like this one-upsmanship type of thing, I just really didn't think worked.
So they called Cena and Reigns nerds, and Angle made a tag match. Angle was in the ring for this whole thing, and he was just trying to keep it together as he was just the spectator. Cena and Reigns against Anderson and Gallows. Reigns was all disinterested on the apron. He extended his arm out while Cena was in a headlock. They had the heat on Cena forever. Reigns was tagged in, clotheslines to Anderson, drive-by to Gallows, and then dropped Anderson with a boot. Superman punches to both. And then Cena returns, and we had a simultaneous AA and spear, and Reigns pinned Anderson.
Yeah, it was stupid.
You finished that segment at a 10, and then we brought it to a 6 with this tag match. Unfortunately, not leaving people wanting more, which...
Well, I'm curious to know what their expectations were about this segment, because clearly if they decided to script this, they probably didn't expect the exchange the two had to be as good as it ended up being.
But what were you hoping for? Like just to have a standard run-of-the-mill segment?
Yeah,
like,
a contract signing.
Like I don't doubt that each guy knew where they were, probably the direction was. I don't think this was just two guys going out there riffing on one another. But
the general direction,
for this segment, you wanted that realistic feel to it. I mean, that was clearly how the segment was produced, that by the end of it, to just have the two team, I think that was just such a bad instinct. To have. I think anybody watching that segment just felt it was
unfortunately, it was pre-written, and they couldn't change it on the fly.
I would have thrown out Pelvis or something. Just go kill time. Elias was coming out for his song. This was when he was just Elias. He says he's the king, like Elvis, and he redid Hound Dog and did it as Bad Town on Memphis, which Jerry Lawler then cut him off and says that Elias's voice isn't that bad, but he has trouble relating to his audience, and Memphis does not appreciate these lyrics. And then he brings out Southpaw Regional Wrestling's Pelvis Wesley.
And how did you react? Just like that, I imagine?
Yes.
I mean, I think if there's anything to take from this, it's that I think people online love Southpaw Regional Wrestling. There's like a very neat vocal niche that love it, but the vast majority of people who attend Raw, at least tonight in Memphis, didn't give a shit, didn't know what Southpaw Regional Wrestling was, and much less Pelvis Wesley. I didn't even know this character.
I looked at the YouTube numbers for Southpaw like late last week.
Yeah.
They were nothing tremendous. Like 200,000 views for some of the episodes of the recent season, 300,000. Like Raw segments that destroy it. To me, it was just but hardly the buzz of the first set of episodes. Though
I do feel like there is potential, and I think it would depend on whether or not they decide to air these in the actual bodies of the programming. You know, so there's the people that watch TV. There's a big chunk of them that don't go to the internet to follow your stuff. that doesn't mean like this stuff can't work. You just have to present Southpaw Regional Wrestling on the actual show.
It's funny that Southpaw is made of like all the tropes of 80s studio wrestling, and it was like one of the biggest staples of that is what the Cena Reigns thing was built upon.
Like promos.
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah.
So anyway, he got hit with the drift away, and that was Elias' segment for the night. We had a shot of Jerry Lawler's restaurant, where Jerry Lawler said there are 5 million tourists that come through here every year, and Michael Cole said, yeah, they're all in the FedEx Forum tonight. New indoor attendance record. 5 million people at Raw. So congratulations. The Miz was interviewed by Renee Young. Miz was stunned that it only took one match for Jeff Hardy to be given a title match. Maurice says he hasn't seen Jeff beat anyone, and Miz walked away. Charlie interviewed Sasha. She said that running your mouth doesn't make you a 4-time champion. Her streak of not defending the title ends tonight, and everyone is going to chant you tapped out at Alexa. 205 Live, Tuesday night, we'll have Enzo in his second ever 205 Live match with Cedric Alexander and Grand Metalik against Noam Dar, Tony Nese, and Drew Gulak. Main event, Sasha Banks, Alexa Bliss for the...
Oh, you missed the Cesaro Sheamus Burger King ad?
Nope, I just didn't
okay.
pay attention to it.
All right.
Was there anything
No. They...
notable?
Yeah, they had some lines, and they didn't show them actually eating the burgers, which was my main question.
Oh, wow.
Did they eat these burgers?
It's a great question.
I doubt it.
Sasha and Alexa for the women's title. Sasha started off in control, went through the break. Bliss was then in control when they came back. Bliss missed a cross body off the turnbuckle, and then Bliss nailed her with a right forearm that Cole continually called a right hand, and then Lawler corrected him. And then she followed with a code red for a 2 count and threw a tantrum when Sasha kicked out. Banks then hit the running double knees to the corner. Bliss knocked her into the turnbuckle, hit a superplex, and then goes for the cover. Banks turns it into the bank statement. Bliss rolls back for a cover, then knocks Sasha face first into the top rope. Sasha bounces back and falls down. Bliss then hits the DDT. 1, 2, 3. Legit loser. Sasha Banks loses.
Clean.
Wow.
Completely. Yeah.
I was very surprised by this. After they made such a big deal about how she chokes in her title defenses. She choked in her title defense. Clean.
I didn't think it was that shocking, to be honest.
I guess not shocking.
When you look at kind of what they've been doing lately with the Owens and AJ feud, I get the sense that they're doing a lot of these title changes simply to build to TV matches, TV main events that they can do afterwards. And I feel like this was probably one of those cases where, let's hot potato the belt onto Sasha so that we could do the rematch on a Raw and put the belt back on Alexa, and then let's continue where we were going ahead anyway with the Nia feud. So, I thought a good match. They didn't really get the crowd, and you could perhaps blame that on the length of the show, or maybe the fact that this just simply wasn't that hot of a feud to be a main event because it's been kind of so rushed.
Do you feel this is going to... I feel we say this every single month of a Sasha turn. Somehow leading to this, because this was horrendous booking of a babyface, if that is the character she's going to be continuing.
I don't completely disagree, but what in this instance in particular was bad booking? Because
a babyface that sets out to end this streak, makes these promises, and then totally fails. How could you possibly
what streak?
She was going to end her streak of title defenses,
right.
of being unable to defend her title.
Right.
She made this big promise, and
I didn't think it was even all that big of a promise.
They built all the promos around it. They brought it up last week. They brought it up in both interviews tonight, and then she just fails, just like that.
Yeah. Well,
why would you not cheer Alexa Bliss? She did nothing villainous to win this title. She won it fair and square. And Sasha has failed yet again to just hold on to her title. I just thought it was really, if she's a babyface moving forward, I just thought this was awful handling of her. And they've had a significant problem of babyfaces, especially in this division. And Nia comes out to congratulate Alexa, hits Sasha with a running splash, and then out of nowhere delivers a Samoan drop to Alexa, grabs the title to hold it up. So that feels like we will. Does Sasha not get an immediate rematch?
Great question.
Just get endless immediate rematches. But that looks to be the direction of Nia and Alexa Bliss. And Nia came across as she was the most over babyface of all three by the end of the show. And that's how the show ended, on Nia Jax and a close-up of her eyes.
Yeah.
Interesting Raw. Some good stuff to it.
Yeah, I thought it was a good show, highlighted by that very memorable Cena and Reigns segment. And I thought some of the wrestling was strong on this show. Crowd, not necessarily at very high levels. Again, I don't blame the crowd. No beach balls at all this week.
No.
So, but content-wise, I thought it was a good Raw.
Yeah, they've got, No Mercy feels like a very big show. You could argue too big for No Mercy, but hey, it's always beneficial to the television when you're building to something big. I feel the next month of Raws, you have some big stuff that you can build towards with those two matches that they have announced so far. And John Cena's on next week's show, no Brock, so that is what we can look forward to in Omaha, Nebraska, along with The Miz and Jeff Hardy. So overall, highlight of this show certainly was the Cena Reigns segment. They did a fantastic job with that segment. So that is going to wind things down for us. We will be back on Wednesday, chatting what way?
SmackDown.
Yes,
Yeah.
It's happening on Wednesday. Tune in to review a SmackDown. As always, this week we'll have What's Next Out, the MMA Report, and Keep It 2000 returns on Friday with Nate Milton and Brian Mann, joined by Jay Hunter from the OSW Review to chat the May 8th, 2000 episode of Monday Nitro. You can check all of that out. You can get all our videos at youtube.com/liveaudiowrestling.
Subscribe to this channel. Leave your comment below with your best and worst from this edition of Raw.
And you could win a t-shirt. And tune in later this week on YouTube for the August unboxing.
Yes.
I can't wait. This month's theme, shocking. Absolutely shocking. So you can tune in for that. Go to liveaudiowrestling.com and we will speak with you on Wednesday.